When you're talking about the Game of Thrones, either you win or you die. We're not dying tonight, though, because we're talking about one of the biggest phenomenons to hit television.
And probably in human history.
And
In all of mankind.
I don't know. We lived through Cheers. People went nuts for Cheers. Seinfeld?
Our generation does not go nuts for Cheers.
Seinfeld, though. Seinfeld was pretty big.
Does our gen go for that?
Breaking Bad was pretty big.
Yeah, but not as big as Westeros, and it's
Fair enough. We're talking about it.
It's fight for the throne.
It's been a week gone, but we're gonna talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Tonight. We gave you all the opportunity to just brush up on your Westerosi knowledge so we can do a retrospective on the entire series that was Game of Thrones. And since Troy
hates it,
thinks it's so stupid, I've decided to get his better half.
You know, the best half you could possibly have.
The person that I watched maybe 4 seasons of it with while she was pregnant.
Before he ruined it.
Yeah.
By changing his schedule and getting home early in the day. Do you remember that? Because we would be able to get at least 2 episodes
We'd get 2 eps in, at least 1.5,
and it was like,
and then
no
Troy
talking,
would show up.
You just watch, and you had already seen it, but so you would like kind of watch me to watch my reactions.
Yeah.
And then he would show up and be like, and go sit in like an armchair that we could still see him.
Yeah.
And he would just
and then he would just kind of like look over at us and be like
forlorn.
And he would get up and like walk over to us every once in a while and be like, I don't fucking get this.
But then he would stop and watch, and you could tell like there was some interest there. He was a liar.
A little bit of the seed was planting in his head.
Yeah.
And then, he'd brush it away. Like, no.
Now that it's over, once people stop talking about it,
he's probably going to watch it.
He will watch all of it, and then I will rub his dirty little face in it.
Do it. Make
right
it
in the carpet.
Just full of shame. Shame him like that woman that followed Cersei down the road and rang a bell. I don't think you ever saw that.
No, but you told me all about it.
Oh, yeah.
We made Troy leave the room so you could catch me up.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
I'm there, man.
But he doesn't care. But anyways, you did see the finale.
I did.
And you did watch up to season 4?
I think so.
5?
I don't know the number. I got pretty far.
You watched up to, like, I think where Tyrion got left, right?
I've kept up, for the most part, like, reading spoilers online.
Okay.
Like, reading about it.
Okay. So we're just going to do...
We're going to wing it.
Yeah, we're going to wing it. We're going to do a little retrospective. We're going to talk about our favorite moments, what we thought...
the moments.
Our favorite characters, and then, of course, probably the one thing you guys are looking forward to the most, what do we think of that controversial finale? I know you saw it.
I did.
So we'll talk about that at the very end. But first, Chelsea, what drew you to Game of Thrones?
You know, honestly, I was repelled from it. Like, I didn't want to watch it. It didn't seem like my genre.
Yeah.
So, like, when Troy and other people, you know, there's a couple radio personalities I listen to, and they're like, I just can't get into the fantasy side.
Yeah.
I don't love dragon movies and wizardry and magic and things like that. So I think going into it, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then you kept talking about it, and you're like, no, it's actually more about the relationships, and it's like pretty gritty. And then it just seemed like everybody was into it, so I finally just gave in.
Yeah.
And I think it was because, you would record the podcast with Troy, but he had to work late, and I was pregnant, and I'm like, well,
yeah, I show up early. We didn't really have anything to do.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I was dating Molly at the time, so I was single.
So.
I had nothing to do.
Yeah, and so we just started watching, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And just, I think having somebody to watch it with, I don't know if I ever would have just dove in by myself.
Yeah, for me, I'm glad that I went back and rewatched it like a couple times because there's so many characters you have to get involved with that some of them, they make them seem like the biggest deal and they die like in 3 episodes. And then there's ones where like they're just kind of in the background and you don't really pay attention to them. And then there'll be like an episode where it's like, this guy's really important. You should have paid attention.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay.
It is. So I was listening, because to prep for this, I was listening to some of my, like I said, my favorite radio personalities, and they were talking about it, and they have one person on the show that watches it repetitively, and she was talking about it's really cool because it like helps, something about like helping your memory, or it just like keeps you focus because it's the kind of show that you have to remember a lot of things.
Yeah, you can't really be on your phone when you're watching this because, like every scene is going to involve someone where it's like, oh, this is probably going to come back.
Or it'll be something where like, it's like children playing in the woods, stab through the chest. And then it'll be like a quick change to like a penis in your face.
Yeah, I'm holding a severed penis next to this child.
They pretty much will do that where it's like a really calm, cool scene, and then all of a sudden it's just like you're seeing the back end of somebody as they're like blown apart.
Yeah, for sure.
It is an extremely graphic show.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason what drew me to it was that I feel like
shock and awe.
this show. I feel like it had the guts to go where a lot of shows didn't really feel like they could. Like even. Trying to present characters that you're supposed to like that take part in incest is kind of
lots of incest going on.
Yeah, but it's like,
and not just incest, but like breeding.
Yeah, like they are making children.
Two separate instances where there's incest that lead to children.
Very true. But yeah, like they get into but they make it where like you still end up liking them, even though it's like a thing that you're taught from a very young age that you do not fuck anyone related to you.
Yeah, especially like a twin. I don't know. Weird, right?
Yeah. Came out of the womb. Let's get into each other.
But I will say, I think the writing on the show, and I didn't read the books. I know you said Molly Pop has read the books.
Yes.
But the writing of the show and of the character development, they do a really good job of like anti-heroes and really making you love people that you shouldn't. Mm-hmm. So it'll be somebody really, and then all of a sudden something absolutely horrible either happens to them or they do it. And it just totally, I feel like they're very quick to make you feel an emotional reaction.
Yeah. Like they do a
good job of it.
After a while, they'll be put in a situation where you definitely see who they truly are in a certain way.
Yes.
And I think that's part of what I like the most about the show is that they are willing to go that way with it, where like they'll take someone that you think is just reprehensible and then they'll put them in a situation where they did something they didn't expect and you're like, oh shit.
Oh, and then there's the red wedding. So bada bing, bada boom.
Then they kill half the people on the show.
Yeah, still haunts me to this day.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, what are some of your favorite moments?
I like how that triggered you to talk about me. The favorite moments.
Yeah, favorite moments. Wedding. What are some of the events where it's like, now this is why I watch Game of Thrones?
You know, I really loved all of the Khaleesi stuff kind of leading up. Like, I've just always liked her.
Yeah.
She's very likable.
Yeah.
Even heading into the finale, missing a lot of stuff. Like, I still like that character. Mm-hmm. And I love just the twists and turns with the Starks. Like the different moments there. I felt like that family just was really interesting.
Yeah.
As far as like really favorite moments, not the red wedding.
Like I was expecting to watch. Remember we watched that together, and I was expecting you to cry.
You led up to that so hard. You're like, just wait till we get to the red wedding, and you wouldn't tell me what it. I was like, just tell me what it is.
Yeah.
Quit leaning on here, Lucille Bluth over there.
I couldn't. I was getting off with holding. But, yeah, like that.
I don't know. I can't. There are moments, but I wouldn't say that I have like a favorite.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I don't know. Why the fuck is my phone going off so much?
No.
This is bullshit. And then these headphones are being weird. Like they get like really loud at one point and then they get soft again. I don't know. I'll have to talk with Troy and maybe throw these in the garbage or something.
But anyways, bought those for him for Christmas. Okay? My own money went into that. You watch what you're saying, slick.
But no, like in all honesty, I did really appreciate like an event like the Red Wedding because it's gutsy. Because you do spend a long time with Robb Stark and like that whole branch of like the Stark family because they're a pretty big plot point because they're fighting a war. So it's like it's even like when they're not really doing something that you're interested in.
A favorite is the Red Wedding for you?
Well,
that's a bold statement.
No, not like I wasn't like after it. Like I remember,
no, guys, he totally was.
The first time I saw it, I didn't know it was coming. First time I saw it, I didn't know it was coming, and I could not sleep that night. It was so.
And then you like built it up with me, and you kept saying like, "You're gonna cry." I don't think I did.
I thought you were.
No.
Because the first thing they do is they like stab a pregnant woman repeatedly in the stomach.
And I was pregnant.
Yeah.
I was like, that's
like,
a lot.
I was like almost uncomfortable when you were about ready to watch it. I was like, oh no, she
was
might be a
uncomfortable.
wreck after this.
I didn't cry,
But-
man.
No, like it's one of those moments where it like stuck with me because it's so visceral and in your face when they do
Yeah.
it too. Like they don't cut away from when it's taking
It's
place.
heart-wrenching.
Yeah, because you're watching a lot of characters.
That you care about.
Yeah, and this is like halfway through the series even too. Like I
Yeah.
think it's like the end of the third season they do this where you're just left to be like, oh, okay, so all these people that I'm
That I cared
gotten
about
to
are
know
dead.
for 3 years are murdered very brutally.
They are gone. They are very gone.
Yeah.
It was
But-
very red.
But then, like, I think one of the things I like the most about Game of Thrones in that sense is that they kind of play up the whole show like it is like a fairy tale. Like you are supposed to follow these people. Like, well, don't worry about this person being in danger because they'll come out in the end because that's what fairy tales do.
I never thought about
And
it. like
then,
that.
but then when they get to the point where that person gets murdered, then you kind of cycle back through your head like, oh well, everything they've kind of done up to this point has led to this point.
Yeah.
It's just that's like fairy tale storytelling has always told me that no matter what this person does, they're always going to come out.
I guess I hadn't really
unscathed.
thought that perspective, but yeah.
Yeah.
After the fact, with a lot of the major events, even in the final episode, you look back and you're like, okay, I could see how it built up.
Even
to
in the
this.
first season, like Sean Bean is the first build person in the credits. Like they make you believe that Ned Stark is the main character of Game of Thrones.
and then he dies really
and
fast.
he dies before the first season even
and
ends.
it's heartbreaking because Arya sees it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine seeing your dad get his head cut off.
Yeah. Arya sees a lot of bad shit.
She does.
Because she's there when the Red Wedding
She
happens,
could
too.
use a little bit of crisis therapy, a little.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing that kind of drew me the most to Game of Thrones is that they take kind of that fairy tale background and then they add a dose of reality to it in a way where it's like, well, these people are not as well off as you think they would be.
Yeah.
And like you even kind of feel like as the show progresses that all of these things they kind of follow of like loyalty and duty and honor are kind of fucking them in the end. Like there's people that don't follow their ideals at all, but they're still good people. Like you kind of feel like by the end of it, like, I mean, honor and duty, it's not always all it's cracked up to be.
Well, I think it's a show that shows that, like, no matter how heroic and clean and nice something can feel, that we all have a dark side. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very human show.
Mm-hmm.
That they all have flaws. There's not one character that's, like, this perfect representation of, like, purity or honor. Everybody kind of portrays that.
Yeah.
Like, I think Jaime Lannister is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Because I think he has a lot of really dark, like, I mean, he starts with incest with his sister, and he's a jerk. Like,
Yeah.
he pushes Bran from a window.
Yeah, at the first episode, he pushes a kid out of a window and paralyzes him for life.
Doesn't even think, and he's a father. I mean, he's like
Yeah.
somebody that you would think would feel something about that and doesn't.
Yeah.
And then you see him progress, and his relationship and friendship with Brienne,
Yeah.
that one is one of the relationships that stuck me the most, because just watching him kind of evolve, and you get to see sides of him that you wouldn't have seen if they didn't develop that.
Yeah.
But it is it's very human. Like, you just see that there's good and bad.
Yeah. And, we'll just move on to characters then. Yeah, I really like Jaime in the whole series as well.
Yeah,
because
I did not like him.
Yeah.
Because they really kind of built it up like he was just this scumbag.
Yeah. But even
And
then.
arrogant.
Yeah, but yeah, he's a scumbag. But then, like, you get to realize that, like, he doesn't
then
really
later
have
you
anyone.
do.
He doesn't really have anyone to turn to because everyone kind of treats him like shit for being the Kingslayer.
And his father is, like, just awful.
Yeah. I'll
So-
talk more. I think he's one of my favorite characters, but we'll talk about him more.
Man, he was awful.
But
But, like, I love Tyrion. I think Tyrion's character was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I love that he was really intelligent and witty and He had heartbreaking moments, you know, where he fell in love with someone and then found out.
Yeah.
It just shattered.
Yeah.
And God, that broke my heart.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite seasons is season 2 when they have Tyrion is like the hand of the king.
Yep.
Because they show, so we spent pretty much the whole first season following Ned doing the job of like the hand of the king. But he's trying to do it in this like noble, always tell the truth, always be forthright with people. But then even then, like he still does things where it's like he doesn't want to hurt people's feelings, so he'll still lie.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're just, I don't know. You're like, he's like, he does things in such like an honorable manner. And then, but it ultimately leads to his demise. But then you get Tyrion doing the exact same job, and he just doesn't give a fuck. He is in it just to self-preserve. Like,
well, and he starts out and he's like drinking all of the time, and he's in whorehouses and just like clearly unhappy, and just kind of living this like, I don't know, to be damned lifestyle. Yeah. But then he evolves, I think, almost more than most of the characters. Yeah. Like, over time because of what he goes through, even through the finality. Yeah.
But like season 2, I think the most is where you see how effective he is when he's put in a position of power. Yeah. Because he knows how to manipulate people. Or how to use people
without even a blink of an eye. Yeah. Like, he knows exactly
There's
what
like that whole episode where like he figures out who he can trust based on like he develops these like multiple different secrets, and then he tells them to everyone that he knows is close to his sister, and then just waits for her to storm in and be like, "You're doing this," and then it's like, "Oh, so that guy told on me, so I can't trust him." Like that, but it was perfect.
I feel like you would do that.
Yeah. Oh, I totally do that. But no, yeah, I love that. Like it's that whole he's telling these people all these completely different facts, and then just waits for the one to get back to him from his sister to be like, "Can't trust him." Okay, now I know what I need to do.
But then they really tug at your heartstrings with him because he is a little person, and his father treats him so poorly, and just like no one really takes him serious. You know, he's good at I think he obviously became manipulative and is witty and uses wit because he had to overcompensate for his incestuous good-looking siblings.
Yeah, but I think that's a main theme that goes throughout the show, though, is that they do a really good job of showing how vain like people in general are, because everyone that is considered successful is always good looking or from a fine upstanding family or like just powerful or has a bunch of dragons
or just is the mother of dragons, whatever, and has horse people that follow her.
But then you have Tyrion, who is he's the imp. Like no one ever thinks twice about him. Which, like, maybe the fact that people underestimate him is also a thing that he uses to get what he wants. But it's like, you can only do so much with it. And I think that's why I love season 2 so much, is that I don't think Tyrion would have been as effective as he was if he didn't have Tywin behind him, which I think that's why Tywin's one of my favorite characters, like his dad. Because, like, up to the point where, like, he dies, he felt like the glue that was holding all of this mess together. Yeah. Because, like, he was able to keep Cersei at bay.
Pretty much immediately.
Yeah. Like, if you were a member of the Lannister family, your life sucked because Tywin just told you what to do. Yeah. And you did it. But, like, I feel like everyone else, like, their lives would have been way worse if he wasn't in the position that he was in. Because he was... Like he's got the name to him that, like, people respect him and they fear him almost. And I think that's why Tyrion was so effective in that second season, because he was speaking for his dad, who already had like a sterling reputation in this country. That's why I think it's really cool when he becomes the Hand of Daenerys later on, where he's not effective at all because he doesn't have that name behind him anymore. Yeah. So he can be swept aside and be like, well, no, I don't have to listen to you. But the only way you can be effective is if someone actually takes your advice. And I think that's why it's really cool to see that transition where it's like you see Daenerys give him the pin to be like, "You're my hand," and you're like, "Oh wow, things are gonna work out." And then you realize, "Oh shit, Tyrion can't do shit because no one's listening to him. Shit. Because no one listens to him." And then when he does, and then when he does give advice, it's always at the expense of his family, where it's like, well, I trust my family will do the right thing or something like that. Or like he can't bring himself to plot against his family.
Which could you?
Yeah, exactly. Like, even though, like, yeah, his sister hates him and wants to kill him, but he loves his brother. So then every time it comes down to, can we really trust this member of your family? He's always going to be like, I think I can sway them.
Nope.
But yeah, he can't.
No.
So then he seems like he's a bad leader. Like, I heard that a lot of complaints about that, like, in this season, where it's like, man, Tyrion was so good at his job, like, in season 2. Why is he fucking up so much now? It's because he doesn't have the power he did when he did in season 2.
Well, and he has to go against his family.
Yeah.
Which would tear anybody apart unless you really hate your family.
Yeah.
Well, even if you hate your family, deep down, you're always going to have those ties.
Yeah. If there is a part of your family that you still care about, you're always
Yeah.
going to give them the benefit of the doubt in some way.
Yeah. And I think he always really cared for Jamie. Like, I
Yeah.
think Jamie was always, that, like, relationship kind of ebbed and flowed, but they did look out for each other.
Yeah. Any new Cersei, like, if it involved her kids, she would always kind of rear back and allow. And then when he found out she was pregnant, he was like, "Oh, well, shit. If I can keep her pregnant and get her to have this kid, maybe she'll settle down a little bit." So that's
Calm
going
that lady
through.
down.
Yeah. Well, it always felt like her kids were always a motivator, and she really went nuts when her kids were gone. So then when he found out she was pregnant, I think that was kind of a thing where it's like, oh, well, now she's becoming a mother again. Maybe now she'll kind of cool down, and then this new child will become a priority in her life.
Well.
And yeah, not a thing.
There she wrote. One of my favorite deaths, though, involves the Lannisters.
Oh, yeah?
Joffrey.
Oh,
that
Jesus.
little rat bastard.
Jesus.
I hated him so much. And when you see his little stupid, weirdly young-looking face, because the actor can't be that young,
Yeah.
die of poison.
God.
Oh.
And it's like the worst
deserved
poison you could ever ingest.
That actor was pretty good, though.
Yeah. No,
Like,
he was good.
like crazy. I'm like grabbing at my neck, like I'm being
Yeah.
poisoned. But when he died, I think I cheered, like, yeah, in your face, even though it was like so graphic to watch.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
but
one of my favorite deaths. There you go. There's a favorite.
It's good. It's good. But I don't know. I think Ramsay was way worse.
I don't know if I got to see
You
that.
never got that close with Ramsay. He's like the guy that
Yeah, with Reek.
Yeah.
Who I hate. That guy, he bothers me. Like,
Theon?
no, Ramsay.
Oh, yeah.
That character bothered me. I think he bothered me the most. His manipulation and, like, he just was like a sociopath, and I don't know.
Yeah.
That one watching any of the stuff with Theon becoming Reek and him torturing him, I would have to, like, watch, like, The Office afterwards, because it just really got under my skin.
Yeah,
It really bothered me.
because that's another one of those characters where, like, you kind of start out kind of hating him because he tries so hard to impress his family.
Yeah.
And then it kind of turns into him, like, it even goes as far as for him to, like, kill 2 orphan boys and play him off as the Stark kid so that people will fear him. And then, then it turns into him getting captured by Ramsay, and then
that was just...
It's like...
It stays... That actually, the imagery of that and that situation was so disturbing that it has stayed with me.
Yeah.
Like, completely.
He literally torched him for, like, a season, I think.
Oh, man.
I think it's, like, the last episode where, like, he finally just cuts his dick off.
Oh, my God.
But, yeah, all those scenes...
I think he cuts his dick off fairly early on into the torture.
Nah, I don't think so. Me and Molly went back and rewatched, and I think it was like maybe like the second to last episode was when he finally cuts his dick off.
Sends it to his family.
Yeah, singing that I took away your son's favorite toy.
Oh my God!
But even like the torture scenes up to that were just they like made me shudder. Like where he would like where he'd fillet his finger until he begged him to cut it off.
It was horrifying. Like that honestly is like watching any crazy scary crime show. Like it was almost too much.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think when it comes down to it, I think Ramsay was worse than Joffrey. Because Joffrey was bad, but like he was only bad because of the power that he was given to be bad.
They're just bad in different ways. But Ramsay was like...
Ramsay is a shit.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even matter if he had power. He would still be a dickhead that was hunting people in the woods.
Likes hurting people.
Yeah.
Like a serial killer.
Yeah. I think Joffrey liked to feel powerful, but
Doesn't
Ramsay...
he, like, rape Sansa, too?
Yeah, he rapes Sansa.
Which is, like, so he's a rapist, and
Yeah.
he, like, tortures Theon. I'm surprised he didn't rape Theon.
Yeah.
Felt like he was going to.
Yeah, but I think Joffrey just liked feeling powerful, but Ramsay just liked hurting people.
Yeah, just absolutely
And I think
torturing somebody down to the like their very core.
Yeah, he
like,
he
stripped him.
Yeah, he
of
tortures
who he was.
a person down to the point where they become his property willingly.
Yeah, like a shuddering. He was so pathetic, like shaking, like when he was around, and like changed his name.
Yeah, it's good.
God, just give me a shiver.
It's good.
How does he die?
Who?
Ramsay.
Oh,
please tell me it's awesome.
They lose when they have the battle of the bastards.
Okay.
He loses the battle of the bastards, and then Sansa locks him in the gate with all of his dogs, and his dogs eat him.
Hell yeah. Dog death. Suck it, Ramsay.
Yeah.
Man.
Let's think. Let me think.
Well,
I don't
think
know.
about it. Sansa, like, was with both of them. Joffrey, she had to deal with both of those tyrants.
And no wonder she's like, fuck dudes now. Like, she's all, like, she's like, I'm not trusting any guy.
I'm happy to see that she made it out, though.
Yeah.
Because that kind of trauma, I mean,
oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, Sansa.
I mean, I feel like we should talk about Jon Snow, but I feel like Jon Snow was he's one of those, like, characters in, like, a fairy tale type story where it's like, well, then he's, like, the hero, so of course he's going to be suave and debonair and stuff, but everyone else is so interesting around him. It's so hard to get into him.
I think because he is an attractive person, like an attractive actor, and I feel like he gets a lot of hype. Like, people know Jon Snow. Like, that's one of the names you hear. But then on the show, he's kind of demure sometimes and, like, moody and just...
Yeah.
I mean, there were some good moments. Like, I loved him and the wildling. Like, I loved that relationship. And it was sad for him.
I think that was probably when I liked him the most, was when he was having that relationship with Ygritte, the redheaded
because it was just like
chick.
Finally seeing him kind of come out of his shell and stop brooding about being a bastard.
Yeah.
Because that got old, hearing about, like, I'm a bastard, and then having on the Night Watch, and I don't know. I just got...
Jon Snow is emo as fuck.
He is.
He just needs to get over it.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I don't know about this. But that was kind of awesome. Like, I liked... And then she dies not that long after.
No, she dies at that, I don't know, did you see, like, the battle at the wall? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I saw her die. But I was like, damn, it just didn't feel like, again... They have you feel something about this. Yeah. And you think it's going to turn out well. And then it's like, nope, definitely dead. Yeah. In your face, Jon Snow.
Yeah. And I love that because that Ollie kid, I think that's kind of a funny thing too, where like he takes this kid under his wing and like not only does he kill the love of his life, but then he also ends up murdering him. Like when they do the whole thing when they turn on John and when they kill him, but then he's brought back to life, so it doesn't really matter.
I didn't get to see the brought back to life part. I know all about it, but
yeah, but like he's one of the people that gets together with the group of guys that kill John, so it's like full circle. Like he meets up with this kid that like lost his family to the wildlings, and then it turns into like, well, he likes wildlings, so fuck him, and then he stabs him to death.
Oh my god!
But.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This world, man.
It's good. It's poetic storytelling.
Poetic. I know we're going to get to the finale, but I was not totally satisfied with the way it ended with John.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it when we get to it.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of who else we can talk about. Cersei was interesting, of course.
I think Arya's fascinating.
Arya, yeah. All of her stuff with like the training to become a faceless man was really, really crazy.
I think she's an interesting character anyway, just from a feminine perspective, because you have, even if you look at how they start out in the beginning. So if you have Sansa, who's like chasing the boys, really wanting to go down south, wants to be with Joffrey, pretty much would change herself and go against her family just for like vanity.
Well, a lot of the Starks that survive are super young when the show starts.
Yeah, but I mean, she's super feminine and like kind of that classic sort of like maiden type thing.
She
Arya
yearns...
never was.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool from a female perspective to show two sisters, one who's completely opposite, who wants to learn how to, sword fight, who has no interest in boys and is just like, she has a hard road, but Arya consistently is just like a badass the whole show. Mm-hmm. like an amazing badass. So I
Yeah.
think that is cool that there's like kind of that role model. I don't want to necessarily call her that, but like she
Yeah.
is like that feminist kind of role model. Like, hell no,
Yeah. And like her
I'm gonna
relationship
do what
with
I want.
the Hound on that one
That was
season.
really interesting.
Yeah, just to see her get along with this guy that she absolutely despises, but she
Yeah.
has to because he like has her captive.
Yep.
And then as they go along, they kind of depend on each other. Where
They were good adversaries, like good frenemies.
Yeah.
Like when she would say the names of the people that she was going to kill,
Yep.
and then isn't his name part of it?
yeah, his name is in the
And so he hears it, and like, but he also is just such a brute and just like, I don't know, an equal fighter to her in some ways, but
Yeah.
like they just kind of balance each other out, and then it almost is like a friendship a little bit. But then she leaves him to die.
Yeah. Well, he comes
doesn't.
back though.
Yeah, he doesn't. But she's like, "Nah, I'm gonna leave you to die."
Yeah.
So I thought their relationship was actually one of the most interesting too.
Yeah. No, I was really into all of their shenanigans as well. Let me think.
What about that guy who gets his eyes pushed in that fight?
Oh my God! Yes,
That
Oberyn.
blew my freaking mind.
Oberyn Martell. He should have stayed. He should have been on the show way longer.
No,
That dude is so
he was
interesting.
awesome. And that scene, like I referenced that with Troy a lot. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna push her eyes in. No, I don't say that. But that was like shocking. That
Yeah.
fight I did not see going that way, and that was one of the things. Like that is some good writing and fight choreography. 'Cause all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's like, nope, gonna kill you by pressing your eyes all the way into your skull.
Oh my God. Oberyn Martell is so fucking
Talk about a charismatic character.
yeah, and he was so interesting too because he was like polyamorous.
Yeah.
And like he was like banging dudes and chicks.
Yeah.
And then he had like, I don't know, like he had like a
Hated the Lannisters.
hated the
and,
Lannisters, like
but like suave about it.
yeah. He would have like these scenes where like he would just like he would like threaten people, but he would do it in like this weird poetic way where you're like, are you
Yeah.
threatening me?
Or
I'm kind of
am
turned
I
on.
gonna make love to you?
Yeah, am I gonna have sex with
I-
you based on this threat? You
Am I
just
getting
made
naked
against me?
right now?
Yeah. Am I taking my clothes off while also being scared?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, dude, Oberyn Martell, he should have stayed on the show way longer. Like, I think he was only in it for like a season.
I agree.
But oh my God, like,
I think we both were saying that, like after, like, ugh.
yeah, now he's gone. What the fuck?
Yeah, damn it.
Yeah, no, Oberyn Martell was awesome. I think we talked enough about characters and all that stuff. But what did we think of the finale? Everyone's talking about it. A lot of people not happy. A lot of people not even happy with the season
I saw you
itself.
tweet
Yeah.
pretty early on, so I kind of
Yeah.
had an indication of where you were going.
Yeah, I have no indication of how you felt, but you also have not stayed up to date on
Yeah.
the show
Which I think is kind of an interesting way to
as
jump
much.
in.
Yeah,
Because it's kind of just taking
like
it
you have
like
kind
at
of
face value.
ideas of where things have gone up to this
Yeah.
point, but you have not really watched the show up until like this
No.
finale.
Just like reading ahead.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to go first?
Well,
Oh, you want me
I think
to say it, then you're spring on me? Okay.
well, you already know mine. How about let me hear what you have to say, coming from someone that's not as watched up on it as I am.
I think because it was hyped for being the finale,
Yeah.
I felt this like sensation of like, because I kind of wanted to go back and watch through and then later see it.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I'm like, you know what? I do really want to watch it. Like,
Yeah.
I want to watch it in the moment. I don't want to have it ruined for me. And there was like a yearning to see it. So I sat down and watched it. And I kind of felt like it was a little rushed in some spots and a little lackluster in others. Like,
Yeah.
I figured he was going to that Jon Snow was going to kill her.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to happen so early in the episode.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel as emotional as I thought I would.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt kind of cold. I mean, the dragon nudging her, Drogon, like, it was Drogon, right?
Yeah.
Nudging her
Yeah.
was more emotional than the whole death scene.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, man, I really love this character. I kind of had an inclination that was going to happen. She was
Yeah.
kind of becoming like crazy. And so, and her speech, I thought her speech was really great when you see her kind of unravel and is talking like, we won't stop
Yeah.
until we free everyone.
Yeah.
And you see that like the battle's never going to end for her. Like she's not going to give up. That was really interesting. But then when it comes to him killing her, I was just like, okay. and then you still have the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't happy with Bran being named the king.
Okay.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I don't totally hate it, but I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like all this hype about, Jon being the rightful heir. And then you have, I think you could kind of tell that Sansa was like, what about me? And then it ends up being Bran. And it was just kind of this lackluster, like he doesn't even want it.
Yeah. Well, I've got some ideas about that.
I don't know. I don't know. I do. I mean, it's good resolution. Arya's sailing away and Sansa's Queen of the North. I thought that was good for her. That last scene was the last final moments of the episode. I thought were kind of like that rewarding. Like it ends the way it started, where it's like at the wall and him going out past the wall. So I thought like there was a good tie in there, but I just didn't feel as satisfied as I wanted to. Not like these idiots. Hopefully, sorry to call you out. Who are like signing a petition to redo it.
Yeah.
I don't think any of that is
that's
necessary.
Stupid. That's stupid.
And I do think I would never have guessed that Bran would be the one to end up on the throne.
Yeah. And
there were some good moments. Like I liked when Drogon melted the throne.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is what caused her to die because she was obsessed with this throne. I'm going to blast it. So I did think that was pretty cool. And just seeing it gone. Like everyone's so fixated the whole show. And then it's like, it's just fucking gone.
Yeah.
But there were moments where I was just like, man, for all the lead up.
Yeah.
For some of these characters, it was just kind of like,
But yeah, like for me, I kind of probably should have messaged you because I think I kind of wanted you to watch the episode before the finale too. Because usually I think how Game of Thrones is laid out is, especially with their seasons, like usually their penultimate episodes are like more like their finale. Yeah. And then the finale is usually like either the tie into the next season, or I think in this case it's kind of like the epilogue for the series as a whole.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's why they rushed a lot of the things at the end. Granted, there's a lot of important stuff, and there was a lot of things they left out that they didn't explain.
Yeah.
But I felt like Daenerys dying at the hands of Jon finally realizing, finally breaking that streak of Starks trying to stay honorable to the people above them and doing the right thing. I think that was like the real end to the show. And then everything after that was to kind of the epilogue to show where everyone is going to end up after all of this.
Okay, I could see that.
But I do agree that they rush a shit ton of it. Like
it happened really fast.
They even do like episode. A time jump where you're like, what happened to everybody?
Right? All of a sudden they're just down there, like
they're just in.
He kills her, and then all of a sudden they're down in like the dragon arena and making this decision. It's like, well, where the fuck is Jon? Like, where's Jon in all of this? And then you hear like, oh, we've just have him in jail because he killed her, and it just felt like wait. What about the in between, like people finding him and arresting him, or like?
I didn't hate all of that stuff. I just hated
like
that.
Could have put it in. It wouldn't have killed them to do it.
Exactly. That's what I wanted. I wanted
a little more drama.
Yeah, more of a lead into what got us here. But I didn't hate where they ended up with everyone being in that dragon lair and them discussing, and then eventually electing Bran to be like the king. But I just hated that they just did this time jump where you have no idea, like, where the fuck are the rest of
it didn't even feel like there was a valid reason to do that.
Yeah.
Like, what was the point? It didn't add to the episode to time jump.
Yeah. And then they even, like, to just kind of, like, glaze over, like, stuff like, where the fuck's all the Dothraki? And, like
because my thing was, like, I think her death would have been more emotional if you saw how others reacted to it.
Yeah.
And you don't see that at all.
No, you don't.
They totally strip you of that. The Grey Worm, you can tell, is upset and he wants justice for her, but he's the only one who gives a shit that she's like dead.
Yeah.
Other than Drogon carrying her off, but like, I can't imagine. I would think that Dothraki would like come up in a wave and like come after him, or like to see him dragged away.
Yeah.
Or that somebody would kill him.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I kind of thought he was just gonna die.
Yeah. I think it would have meant so much if we would have seen, like, the Dothraki and see the Unsullied, like, discover her body.
Because they would not have just been like, oh, Commander's dead.
Because even though it would kind of, like, bring you back to that feeling where, like, these are people that, like, depended on her, that freed them.
That care about her
that
and her
made
mission.
That made them feel more than what they were.
They made her queen. They like were
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah. So like
they skipped
I think,
all of that.
Yeah, it would have kind of made this weird
At least
affirmation
build it up.
where like you're at this point where, oh, she's a monster. She's going to kill all these people. But then after she's dead and you see there's still a group of people out there where it's like she means everything to them.
Yeah.
Like, granted, she's a monster, but she's not a monster to them. I think that would have been like a cool way to send it off where it's
no,
like,
I totally
oh, shit.
agree. And that's where like the lackluster for me comes in, where it's like they could have put more emotion into it and really built up the tension like they do in other key episodes.
Yeah.
Because they do it so freaking well. It's not
Yeah.
like they do it poorly and then it was like, well, time jump. He's just in jail. Bop, bop, bop.
But I think the only reason they skipped time is because I just didn't know how to end that scene without John not being killed.
Maybe.
Because I can't see a situation where John won't die there. But
I almost kind of wish he would have.
see, I don't know.
We'll
talk about it.
Like he gets sent back to the Night Watch, and I was like, oh, the fucking Night Watch.
Well,
like, why is there even a Night Watch anymore?
I'm not even gonna say he's gonna be part of the Night Watch. We'll see. We'll talk about it. But
like, why is there a Night Watch?
we'll talk about it.
What's beyond the wall that they have to fucking watch for?
We'll talk about it. Let it go. Let it go.
Right. Okay.
So I think when they finally, I hate everything leading up to where they finally get down to the dragon picks. It's this big jump in time. You don't know what's going on until then. But I do like that discussion down there, and then them
where
actually
they talk about like letting the people vote, and then they all smugly laugh like a bunch of aristocratic assholes.
Well, hold on, because
right.
I feel like at this point, I think the show kind of shows what its true theme was, where we spent this whole series watching all these people politic and find their ways to push certain people to power or push certain families to power, or what do we do to make sure that we keep this person under control, when all along all they really needed to do was just change the system. And I like that, especially a thing they do a great deal throughout the whole series is they always have people telling stories about what happened in the past.
Yeah.
Like about the Mad King that threatened to burn the city, and there's stories about there are stories about White Walkers, but no one ever takes them seriously.
Yeah.
Where like we do have a outline of what could happen in this scenario based on what's happened in the past, but people always take stories and say, well, that'll never happen to me.
Oh, like current real life?
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I like about it. It's like, I also like that when people tell stories, they don't do flashbacks. They don't show you what's happened. So then there's that kind of distance you can keep from it. Like the only real flashback you see is Bran, which I think that's why it's really cool that he becomes the king in the end. Because, like I said before, there's so many of these people that are put in power that are either like good looking or strong
or just born into
or
it.
wonderful war acumen or born into it. But yet, in the end, they take someone who's the least qualified out of all of that. Like, it's a dude in a wheelchair. He's, like, the youngest of his family, so he has, like, almost no right to almost any throne. Like, he's kind of gangly. He has no social skills.
Him Bran the Broken.
Yeah, he has no...
chant it, and I was like, you couldn't, when you make him king, come up with maybe a little more...
Like, the dude doesn't even have any social
title.
skills. He says, like, one-word responses to things.
He literally is dead in the eyes.
He's literally the worst choice for a charismatic leader in the history of the world.
Yes.
But the one thing that he has...
the easiest to kill.
But the one thing that he has that no one else has is he has knowledge, and he has that history.
Yeah,
that will show,
I did like that.
That will show everyone when they're fucking up.
Yeah.
Because this whole series is people fucking up and basically reliving the entire history that they talk about they'll never relive because, well, we're older, we're smarter than our ancestors, we'll never do that. They literally almost did everything.
Yeah.
Down to the White Walkers, down to a mad queen burning the city.
Yeah.
They did everything they said that would never happen again.
Yeah.
Even the smart people that said, I have this under control, they didn't have shit under control.
Yeah.
And I like that they do this where they, first of all, they get rid of the whole like lineage thing, and they break it down to a republic where now they have a group of people voting. So now they're finally are considering the fact that their system does not work.
I did like that they kept the North separate too. Like they didn't challenge her at all. They were like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I thought that was nice. But the thought about like letting the people vote.
Yeah,
like,
but I think that
oh
was
my
also kind
God.
of a way of like you're not going to reinvent the wheel in a day.
No, I know, but I was still just like,
But yeah, I did think it was funny though. But yeah, so they're taking baby steps to trying to become a better government.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this series is trying to lead to, where it's so many people trying to take the same system and trying to fix it, when in all honesty, they should have just thrown it away and started over with something else.
Sounds so real to life.
Yeah. But no, that's why I like it. But then
No, yeah,
with the whole thing of Bran, I feel like Bran took this position not because he wanted to be king, but he wanted Tyrion to be the leader. Because Tyrion is a person that would never be respected. But because people respect Bran can let Tyrion lead. Because they have that whole scene where they have the council meeting and Bran just comes in and is like, how's everything? Good. All right, I'm going to go probably see what this dragon's up to. See
I'm
ya.
gonna go piss in my wheelchair.
Yeah.
Piss on myself.
Like, he does not seem like someone that's going to take a rightful approach at trying to lead the country.
Unless it comes down to something.
But he's doing the right
Awful.
thing. He's taking someone who would be a good leader, but would never get the respect to be a good leader. And then he's pretty much giving the people's respect to him to lead. Kind of like how Tywin did in the second season.
I guess I did not see that in this.
But I know, that's why I like it.
I did like that Brienne is now the, like, King's Guard.
Yeah, she's the head of the King's Guard.
Yeah, I was really happy. And I thought that scene.
And their
where
sigil is a raven. Did you see that?
I did.
On the
thought that was
breastplate.
cool.
It was
And
pretty
I
sweet.
really thought it was a touching scene that she finished out Jaime's page.
Yeah. Yep.
And ended with that he died protecting his queen, even though
Yeah.
I'm sure that killed her inside. So I think she's one of the best characters in the whole show. And then, you have Sam, who is super knowledgeable and under-respected.
Yep. He's the new Grand Maester.
Yeah, but I was like, well, that's really cool for somebody who like came from nothing, whose father thought he was worthless and just put him into the Night's Watch, and just a fat idiot, but he's so smart and sweet and kind, and he ends up, it was a lot of actually good, kind people around that table. Yeah.
And they really build up, like, knowledge is like the one thing that's leads to the most success.
Yeah.
Which is good.
How inspirational, Game of Thrones.
I know, exactly. But before we cut it off, since this didn't take place in the finale, I do want to go back and talk about the demises of Cersei and Jaime, because I've been hearing a lot of talk online about how like they hated how they both went out.
Yeah, I immediately saw it. So I didn't see the episode, but I caught up on spoilers afterwards.
Yeah.
And it seemed like everybody was just shitting all over it. Like, they were just like, that's how they go. It's just like the roof falls in on
people
them.
were pretty bloodthirsty that they wanted Cersei to just, like, have this terrible, terrible death. And a lot of people were kind of hating the fact that Jaime kind of regressed back to pining for Cersei after all the things that he did. But for me, I loved it because with Jaime, I feel like Jaime is like the typical like story of like an addict. Like no matter like how much he does to progress, he ends up going back to the one thing that's probably the most
horrible for him.
The worst for him. And I like that. I feel like I like that people are upset that about Jaime's storyline because they feel betrayed. They feel like they invested so much into him.
Well, that's
and
typical Game of Thrones fashion for character development.
Yeah.
You start out a scumbag. They build you up and show like these more human emotions and make you a little shinier and new.
Yeah.
And let him be kind of a new hero.
Yeah.
Redeem himself, and then he's back to being a scumbag in the people's eyes again. So it's like they like these twists and turns where they like kind of twist the knife in you.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of relief. Oh, no. But that's how they do that with most of their characters.
Yeah. But Jaime, I feel, is like especially interesting because I just think that the reason
and it's
people
right after he finally like consummates his relationship.
Yeah,
with
he actually
Brienne.
sleeps with someone that's not his sister.
And it's somebody that people really, I respect her. Like,
Yeah.
I feel for her. Like,
Yeah.
that was a big moment for her, not just him.
Yeah. Like,
And so, and then just to be
it's
like,
so interesting.
I'm going to go back to my
Yeah.
twin sister who I bang and have children with.
Yeah. Like, I definitely didn't like when they slept together at first, because I thought it was fan service, and they were just like, oh, everyone wants them to get together. Let's get them get together. But then when they did the whole thing where, like, he went back to Cersei, I actually really liked it, because then that meant that was, like, the peak of him. That was, like, him, like, getting, like, his like, 30-year chip or something, where it's like, I'm officially done with Cersei. I'm with this person now. Nothing will ever make me go back to this. And then it take one more thing to make him regress all the way back down to what he was before.
I was fine with the idea of them dying together. Like,
Yeah.
It really doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
They started out together, they die together.
Yeah. And it's so disheartening, but it was like,
Well, and then
it's
Tyrion
perfect.
going down there, like, no, like, he's looking for them as he,
Yeah.
like, very sadly walks through
Yeah.
the Burn City, and then he goes down knowing that you could just feel like, okay, he has a feeling like this is where they're going to be. This is where they logically would have went. And then to pull the bricks and stones off of them, and they're just dead. Like, that scene with him, it was very emotional. Like, I did feel for him, like, shit, his whole family. Like, as torn as he was, it's still his brother and sister.
Yeah. And even with Cersei, I liked
Could you
what
imagine
happened.
having to find that?
Oh yeah, that's awful. But even with Cersei, I liked, like, what happened with her too, because right before she dies, she, like, begs, like, she doesn't want to die. Like, I don't want to die. And I feel like that's kind of like a thing you felt that Cersei never really felt like she was, like, Cersei
she was
felt
untouchable?
like, yeah, I think she felt like she was untouchable through a great part of the whole series. Even when she's forced to walk down that street naked and she's embarrassed, but by the time she gets back to the castle, she's back to, I'm back to being untouchable. Like,
I'm a badass bitch.
yeah, like, I think that whole walk, that's where, I think that was when she was her most vulnerable and she was in hell. But then it only lasted so long. Here,
She's
definitely
a tough character.
yeah, here she definitely has to embrace the fact that she's dead. She's going to die.
Yeah.
And just seeing her break down to, I don't want to die. I mean, yeah, people got pissed because it was like, well, you've killed so many people up to this point. Like, who gives you the right to feel sorry for yourself, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, yeah, but that's fucking Cersei.
She's a human being.
Yeah, and the end of the day,
At the end of the day,
it doesn't
all
matter
these
what
characters
awful fucking shit you did. You're still a human being, and you have the right to be fucking scared that you're gonna die.
Yeah, they do a very good job of making it a very human show.
Yeah, and that's
In a fantasy world.
yeah. So, like, the combination of her begging not to die and Jaime trying to, or, like, holding her, trying to get her to calm down. It's like the perfect combination for them to when they finally die together, where it's like you're seeing this guy who could live a way better life than he is, but he's drawn back to this thing that's the worst thing for him. And then you have Cersei, who's just awful, but then the one thing that's, like, the best thing about her, and they kind of come together just to make this amalgamation of, we've fucked up each other's lives, and now we're gonna die.
And now we're dead as hell.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like our whole take on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Me personally, despite the whole thing of, like, these weird flash forwards and kind of skips throughout the story and, like, the finale and in certain parts of the last season, I really enjoyed the series as a whole. I really liked it.
I would agree.
And I even the people that said that it's not a good show, I think those people are kind of being overdramatic.
Yeah.
The show as a whole, I think, is fantastic. And given, like, the small gripes at the end, I still think that it tells a cohesive enough story to where at the end I was satisfied with the entire series as a whole.
Well, and I think it changed the television landscape with the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
At least it shook it up, and that's why it was so popular.
Yeah.
And it was on HBO, which isn't a channel that I think it went there, and it's a harder channel for people to access. Like, you have to make a choice to go get it. It's not just like a free channel.
Exactly.
Like some of these other shows where it's really accessible for a large market. And they made this huge thing, and it was beautifully filmed and written.
Yeah.
Good casting. And even the really icky parts, like, they stay with you because of how visceral they were.
Yeah.
To the point, like, I will probably never forget some of these scenes where other shows you watch, you're like, yeah, that was good, but I don't really care. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, screw the fanboy base that is like, I think it's ridiculous.
Fuck 'em.
I think it's offensive. Like, I know the actors have spoken out about this whole thing about how people want the whole last season.
And like so much time and effort goes into it, and then people are just like, I don't like it.
You know what? It is done. It is created. Somebody wrote it. These people signed off on it. They
now you can just take it and leave it.
And even with my gripes of the last episode, I'm glad I watched it. I want to go back and watch the whole show again.
Right on.
But even with some of the lackluster moments, you still had these really powerful moments, like when Tyrion's crying because he finds his siblings and realizing, like, well, I have to be the hand of the king, even though I don't really want to be, and I have to do good. I mean, there was just a lot there. So I think good for you, Game of Thrones.
Yeah. All in all, if
and
you
in
have
10
not watched...
years, when Troy watches it with me,
there you go.
He'll love it.
Exactly. So all in all, for me personally, I say go ahead and give it a try.
Yeah.
Give it a watch. Now that it's all said and done, you don't have to be like part of water cooler talk. You can just do it on your own.
Yeah. It's a good binge show.
Very good binge show.
Good for binging. You know, if you're pregnant, maybe don't watch The Red Wedding. Whole thing. But no, like I said before, I would not consider this my genre, but you get hooked, and it's popular for a reason.
Yeah, most definitely.
Watch it.
Well, thank you for joining us for our Game of Thrones retrospective talk. If you want to reach us, follow us at Review Pod on Twitter. Also, look us up on Review on Facebook, or you can even email us at reviewpod@gmail.com. What'd you think of Game of Thrones? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you hate me for actually saying things I liked about the finale? Go ahead. Send me death threats at reviewpod@gmail.com.
Oh my god, don't send death threats.
Also,
how would you open that up?
Find me at Bucky for Everyone on Twitter. Also, Bucky for Everyone on Instagram, and him at Bucky for Everyone on Snapchat. See Danger, you want anyone to know? You want to plug your show?
Yeah, I'll plug my show that, like, I got to swear a lot in this, and I'm sure I'm going to hear about it from people.
Oh, I know.
Because Mama likes to swear.
Ooh, Mama likes to swear.
But you can listen to my more family-friendly, I don't even know if it really is, show, Charm
Troy's been talking about penis quite a bit on it lately.
Him and penises. I don't know. But yeah, you can find me on Charm Types Podcast, where I talk more with Troy to the Max Extreme, and he's a little more censored. We birds things.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah.
I've heard you kind of ravens to things a couple times. Yeah. That might be more Game of Thrones based.
Dun, 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 dun. He ravens did, and he doesn't even know.
I know.
I know.
He secretly wants to watch the whole thing.
An idiot. God love him.
What a piece of shit.
I know.
Well, yeah. Well, then join us for this coming Thursday when we do the new theatrical release, Brightburn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at you two.
Look at us.
I don't even know what the hell that is.
Well, it's the evil Superman movie that's coming out.
Oh.
So she is thrilled. We'll see if we do it.
I'm shocked that you're thrilled, because you're usually like, oh, superheroes. Oh. I've sat in this room and I've watched your eyes glaze over.
When it gets repetitive, fuck it. But this is like
melt out of your
chair. It's like an evil take on like the Superman story. I'm kind of for it. I want to check it out.
All right.
So Brightburn on Wednesday, Thursday.
Is that in theaters?
It's coming out in theaters. Yep.
Go to theaters, guys.
Go to the theaters. Check it out.
Check out
our show. But until then, I am JT3K, and C Danger. Thanks for stepping in for your husband.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, because he doesn't do his job sometimes. So
Danger here and out.
We need a female touch sometimes to really get the job done. I've
actually gotten feedback that people like when I'm on the show.
You're good.
I know how to rile you up, JT.
Oh, boy, howdy, do ya?
And sometimes I just need to let loose.
Do it, mama.
Fuck the birds. No,
do it, mama. Fuck the birds. So with that, we say fuck the birds, and we're off.
Bye.